Hi there, reviewers. Welcome to another test drill on the subject soil science. Let's start with question number one. Number one, the soil microflora with the highest biomass are, do we term that as bacteria, actinomyces, algae, or fungi? So we're looking at an organism na kung saan pinakamataas daw yung kanyang biomass or yung kanyang weight sa lupa. So alin kaya sa mga organisms na to, bacteria, actinomyces, algae, and fungi ang may pinakamataas na weight, let's say, per area of your soil. Kung ilalagay man natin sila yung pinakamabigat. So, tamang sagot dyan is letter D, fungi. Now let's understand biomass further in the soil. So again, as I have discussed kanina, biomass refers to the total mass of your living organism given an area of your soil. So in the context of soil science, it would include lahat ng microorganisms that would contribute to the soil's health and fertility. So we're talking about fungi, we're talking about bacteria, actinomyces, and even algae based from the question. But then we're asked, alin kaya doon sa mga microorganisms na yon ang pinaka mabigat per, let's say, per square foot of your soil? So ang tamang sagot doon is fungi. Why exactly fungi is the right answer? Now fungi, mga essential decomposers yan na nasa lupa. So ibig sabihin, they can they are very important in terms of converting yung mga plant and animal debris into organic matter for your soil. They do break down very complex organic matter such as yun nga yung plant residues, yung mga waste products ng animal residues. And kaya sila pinakamabigat is because of the presence of an extensive network of hyphae that we call as mycelium. So kumbaga, ang ating fungi kasi, hindi lang sila microorganism because not all fungi cannot be seen, not all fungi are seen under a microscope. Yung iba, makikita mo through your naked eye, like your mushroom. Okay? Pero kaya sila mabigat sa lupa kasi, kumbaga, kumakalat sila, hindi lang yung kanilang pores, but rather pati yung something filamentous or thread-like structure nila ay kumakalat din, parang nagiging net sa lupa. So that extensive network actually make your fungi heavier, kaya sila yung may highest biomass ngayon sa ating lupa. Now, how about the other choices like bacteria, actinomyces, and algae? So here are the explanations. Ang bacteria, yes, very important rin yan in terms of decomposition sa lupa, but they don't have a heavier mass, but although mataas ang kanilang population sa lupa. So mataas ang population nila pero wala kasi silang any thread-like structures that is colonizing the soil, kaya hindi sila ganun kabigat. Actinomyces, well, these are a group of bacteria that at some point similar sa fungi kasi mayroon silang filamentous structures. So parang mayroon silang thread-like structures, yung binabanggit ko kanina. However, yung biomass nila ay hindi ganun kataas kasi yung kanilang network, yung kanilang thread-like structure ay hindi ganun ka-extensive as your fungi. How about our algae? Ang algae, in the soil, they are less common compared to the other three microorganisms that we have discussed earlier. But they primarily contribute sa soil formation and fertility rin. However, yung kanilang overall biomass ay mababa because they do not form, unang-una, they do not have or form any extensive thread-like networks and hindi rin sila ganun karami as our bacteria. So algae actually yung sabihin na natin, pinakamababang biomass among all of those choices. Question number 2. The stable product of organic matter, is it humus, lignin, cellulose, or hemicellulose? So the correct answer there, the stable product of organic matter, is humus. Okay? Now let's talk about organic matter ulit. Para ma-refresh tayo, what is an organic matter? Organic matter, simply, in your soil, they consist of either animal or plant residues at various stages of decomposition. Ibig sabihin yan, may mga debris doon na bulok na, so they are fully decomposed, and may mga debris naman doon na hindi pa ganun na decompose, and they are being decomposed by various organisms like your earthworm, probably your termites, your ants. It can be microorganisms, it can be your fungi, nematodes, whatever that is. Kinakain sila and dinidecompose sila, yung mga plant and animal debris na to, para maging organic matter. And when your organic matter decomposed fully, so ibig sabihin, it cannot be breakdown into smaller particles or at a fast rate. Sabihin na natin, when your organic matter decompose fully, ang tawag mo naman na dyan is humus. Now, humus is stable because of that reason. It is decomposed fully, hindi na siya basta-basta na decompose into smaller particle, but it can be decomposed, kaso nga lang, slowly na yung kanyang yung kanyang decomposition process, and kapag na-decompose na siya further, yun na yung nag-release na siya ng nutrients. So humus is a dark organic matter material in your soil, okay, that forms when your plant and animal matter decays fully. Now this thing is very stable, meaning it doesn't break down further very easily. And humus is very important in terms of improving yung ating soil structure, in terms of providing nutrients for the plants, and it helps retain moisture in the soil. So yun yung tatlong purpose pala ng humus. Unang-una, it improves soil structure, it provides nutrients sa ating halaman, and it retains moisture in the soil. So yung part ng retaining moisture in the soil, kasama yan doon sa ating konsepto na kapag mas maraming organic matter ang yung lupa, mas nakakapag-hold siya ng water, and at the same time nakakapag-hold siya ng nutrients. So tumataas yung moisture holding capacity niya, and tumataas rin yung kanyang CEC. So how about the other choices? Why are those wrong? Unang-una, we have discussed this already. What are starch and cellulose and hemicellulose? Actually, walang starch dun sa choices. But what are cellulose and hemicellulose? These are carbohydrates that makes up the cell wall of your plant. So that's it. Cellulose and hemicellulose, these are carbohydrates that makes up the cell wall of your plants. Yan yung kino-convert na carbohydrate mostly ng ating mga ruminants or yung mga vegetable or yung mga herbivores natin. Ano naman ang lignin? Lignin is not a carbohydrate, but rather it is a complex polymer that makes up your woody plants. Yung labas ng plant mo, kung bakit siya matigas, yung labas ng woody plant natin, kung bakit siya matigas and rigid, it is because of this complex polymer called lignin. Now, your lignin, your cellulose, and your hemicellulose, kapag nahulog yan sa lupa, i-decompose yan ng mga different organisms and microorganisms, and yan ay pwedeng maging humus. Third question. Indirect utilization of molecular nitrogen. So ano kaya ang tawag doon? Is it symbiotic nitrogen fixation, non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation, Haber-Bosch process, or we have the VAM? Now, what is molecular nitrogen? Molecular nitrogen simply means your atmospheric nitrogen. Okay, so ang tamang sagot dito is Haber-Bosch process. Now, let's go further muna on why this is the answer by discussing what molecular nitrogen is and ano ba yung sinasabi niya ditong utilization. Okay? So, didiscuss ko to, and ano ba to? Ano yan? And ano yung ibig sabihin ng question basically? So, kapag sinabi nating molecular nitrogen, yan yung nitrogen natin sa atmosphere. So we all know that the nitrogen in our atmosphere is around 78%. So yan yung pinaka-abundant na gas sa ating atmosphere. However, plants cannot directly use this one or this one. Hindi kayang gamitin ng halaman yan unless it is converted. So it is converted in two forms that is readily available sa ating halaman. So dapat itong molecular nitrogen natin should be converted to ammonia and should be converted to nitrate before the plant can use it. So yun yung tinatawag natin doon na utilization. So the process of your nitrogen in the atmosphere being utilized by your plants, that is the utilization of molecular nitrogen into something useful for your plant. And there are two ways to look at it. You can look at it directly. So kung sinabi natin direct utilization is may natural process na nangyayari sa lupa that makes this atmospheric nitrogen available to your plants. And you can look at it indirectly, kung saan we have manufactured yung 78% of nitrogen in the atmosphere and turned them into fertilizers that would be readily available to our plants. Kaya naman, ang tamang sagot dyan, we're looking for something that indirectly converts molecular nitrogen into useful form for our plants, yung Haber-Bosch process. So the Haber-Bosch process, yan ay isang industrial method developed by scientists. I forgot the names, pero yung dalawang scientists na yun, they actually get a Nobel Prize in Chemistry because of this process or method of converting atmospheric nitrogen into ammonia para magamit natin as fertilizers. So, ang Haber-Bosch process, basically, kukunin nila yung nitrogen sa atmosphere and then lalagyan nila ng hydrogen gas and then gagamit sila ng high temperature and pressure para makapag-produce ngayon sila ng ammonia. And itong ammonia na to is very important now, very crucial in terms of providing us the necessary fertilizers para magamit natin sa ating halaman. So bakit siya naging indirect process? Because the Haber-Bosch process converts atmospheric nitrogen into a form that can be used by plants, pero itong conversion na to, it does not occur naturally. So it does not occur naturally, kaya siya naging indirect. But rather, it happens in industrial facilities. Kasi as we have discussed on the previous slide, kapag sinabi nating direct, the atmospheric nitrogen is directly converted naturally in the soil para magamit ng halaman. Ang Haber-Bosch process, hindi po. Industrial method po yan para makapag-produce ng nitrogen fertilizers, primarily ammonia, like our urea. Okay? Let's go on and analyze some of the choices na kasama ni Haber-Bosch process. O yung symbiotic nitrogen fixation. Yan ay isang direct utilization of atmospheric nitrogen. Why? Because the nitrogen from your atmosphere will go to the soil and through the symbiotic process or yung process na beneficial to both your legumes and rhizobium, na-fix yung mga nitrogen na yun from the atmosphere and nagagamit siya ng halaman. So that is a direct utilization of atmospheric nitrogen because it is happening naturally. Okay? So ano ulit yung concept dito? Sa nodules ng ating leguminous crops, dyan nakatira yung ating rhizobium, and yung rhizobium na yan nakatira doon, being sustained by your legume, and ang kapalit naman is nag-fix siya or nagpo-provide siya ng available nitrogen for your plant. O how about yung non-symbiotic nitrogen fixation? It is also naturally occurring in the soil. But this time around, kaya nga siya non-symbiotic, ibig sabihin, walang partner yung microorganism na nagfi-fix ng nitrogen. So anong klaseng microorganism ba yan? Yan yung ating Azotobacter. Kanina, yung organism dito is yung bacteria na Rhizobium with a symbiotic relationship with our legume crops. However, for this one, our Azotobacter, free living lang yan, nakatira lang yan sa lupa, and ang ginagawa niya is bukod sa nabubuhay siya and nagdi-decompose, it is also converting atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogen form, ammonium or nitrate that is readily available to your plants. But again, wala siyang kinocolonize na anything, but it's just free living in your soil. And kaya din siya indirect utilization of nitrogen from your atmosphere is because it is naturally occurring in your soil. Now, how about yung ating VAM? Yung VAM, yung isa sa last choices kanina, we term that as vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza. Okay? Now, this one, it is not related to nitrogen fixation. It can be somehow related to that, pero hindi yun yung pinaka-purpose ng mycorrhiza na to or ng fungi na to. So, what is a VAM? So, a VAM is a mycorrhizal fungi. So, ito ay isang uri ng fungi that forms a symbiotic relationship with plant roots. So, ang ginagawa ng VAM, nagfo-form daw siya ng relationship sa roots ng iyong halaman. Okay. Now, kapag magkaroon na sila ng symbiotic relationship, similar to the rhizobium in our leguminous crop, bibigyan ng ating halaman ng nutrients si VAM para mabuhay, pero ang tulong naman ni VAM is to help the plant absorb more nutrients. So it can absorb more nitrogen, it can absorb more zinc, it can absorb more phosphorus and water. So kumbaga, ini-enhance niya yung capacity ng roots ng halaman para makapag-absorb ng necessary nutrients and water na makakatulong na ngayon sa pagpapalago ng ating halaman na maging malakas, maging resistant siya sa pathogen. It can be drought tolerance kasi nakakakuha siya ng tubig, nakakapag-absorb siya ng tubig kahit na hindi ganon karami yung tubig sa lupa because of your VAM. And it is even enhancing yung kanyang growth and yield kasi nga pinalakas siya nung VAM na to. So isipin nyo na lang na yung VAM para siyang what do you name ano ng pangalan nito? Si Venom, 'di ba? Kung nanood kayo kung nanonood kayo ng superhero movie, si Venom, in-infect niya yung human, and yung human na yon nagkakaroon ng extraordinary capacity, okay? But then, mayroon silang symbiotic relationship kung saan nabubuhay si Venom kasi naka-attach siya doon sa bida, right? So, ganun din si VAM. Si VAM, mag-a-attach siya sa roots, bibigyan niya ng superpower yung roots. Si plant naman, in return, magpo-provide siya ng nutrient din kay VAM para makapag-thrive ito sa lupa. Okay. So, this is not the correct answer because bukod sa this is naturally occurring, this is not related primarily to the conversion of atmospheric nitrogen sa ating lupa. Okay? How about for this question? Sabi niya, this is not a biological process, sir. We are looking for something that is not a biological process. So, sinirkulan ko yung not na yan para hindi tayo malito. So, yung hindi daw biological process, so meron tayong volatilization, nitrogen fixation, mineralization, or nitrification. Ano kaya ang tamang sagot dyan? That would be letter A, volatilization. So to answer this, kailangan nating alamin ano ba yan? Ano ba ang biological process? So a biological process is our activities in your soil wherein all of the living organisms such as bacteria, fungi, plants, and small animals, they transform substances in the environment. So kapag may may substance na pumunta sa iyong soil. Itong mga microorganisms and organisms na to, they help in transforming those substances into its other forms. Primarily, the purpose is into forms na magagamit ng iyong halaman. So yun yung biological processes. Now, volatilization, sorry, is not a biological processes because it does not involve any microorganism, it does not involve any living things converting a substance for your plant. But rather, volatilization is the process kung saan your substance changes from a liquid or solid state. So from solid or liquid, nagiging ano daw siya? Nagiging gas. So yun yung volatilization in simpler terms. Now when we're talking about soil science, this refers now to the loss of nitrogen from the soil na pupunta ngayon sa ating atmosphere. So, isipin nyo, you are a farmer, what you did is that nag-scatter ka, kumbaga, ng urea sa iyong field. So, hindi mo scatter mo lang sa field mo, hindi mo tinabunan ng lupa, tapos nagdilig ka. So, what happens is, yung pagdilig mo na yon, na-dissolve yung urea. But then, dahil exposed siya sa araw, nasikatan ng araw, nag-evaporate ngayon itong mix ng water and urea, so napunta ngayon siya pabalik sa atmosphere. Yun yung tinatawag nating volatilization. And it is a transformation of a substance, yes, kasi nga from its solid to liquid state, naging gas siya, but it is not because of some microorganism or organism, but rather it's because of physical factors like your temperature and wind and your sunlight, and it is because of some chemical factors like soil pH and moisture. So inuulit ko, volatilization is not a biological process because it does not involve any biological activity or the transformation of substances by living organisms, but rather this process is driven by physical and chemical factors such as temperature, wind, soil, pH, and moisture content, kung saan yung nitrogen na nasa lupa ay nako-convert pabalik sa atmosphere. So that's volatilization. So let's look at the other choices kung bakit siya naging biological process naman. Now, nitrogen fixation is yes, this is a biological process. Ang dami na nating discussion about this. Why is it a biological process? Because certain bacteria, Rhizobium bacteria, forms a symbiotic relationship with your legume crops. And ang ginagawa niya, kinukuha niya yung nitrogen from the atmosphere and this substance is being converted into ammonium. Na magiging available sa iyong halaman. So yun. So that's nitrogen fixation. Well, it can also be, kanina lang nabanggit natin, it could also be through azotobacter. So it can be through your rhizobium kung saan may symbiotic relationship siya with your leguminous crop. And this rhizobium now converts atmospheric nitrogen into nitrogen available to your plants such as ammonium. And it can also be through your azotobacter. And ano yung azotobacter? They are free-living bacteria in your soil. So hindi nila kailangan ng halaman, hindi nila kailangan ng symbiotic relationship with your leguminous crop. Now this azotobacter, freely, they can fix nitrogen from the atmosphere and make it available to your plants. So it is a biological process. How about mineralization? It is a biological process. It is a biological process where your microorganisms decompose organic matter. And when they decompose organic matter, it turns now into inorganic substances such as, pwede, ammonium rin. Like for example, first cropping mo, nagtanim ka ng legume crops. Now, natapos na yung cropping na yun, nakapag-harvest ka, more than likely, yung legume crops na yun mananatili sa lupa kasama yung kanilang mga plant debris. So, what did you do? Tinil mo ulit yung land. So, kinultivate mo yung land. Green manure mo yung mga natitirang debris ng yung legumes. So, that's organic matter. Okay? And through the presence of microorganisms in your soil, i-decompose niya yung mga plant debris na yan, and that organic matter will now turn into your nitrogen na magiging available na doon sa susunod na itatanim mo. Let's say, ang susunod na itatanim mo ay corn, so magiging available na yung nitrogen sa corn mo na galing doon sa previous legumes na itinanim mo on that particular season. So, mineralization simply means yung organic matter nagiging inorganic substances such as your legume. Through the process of decomposition, it becomes now a source of nitrogen for your plant. So that's mineralization. Oh, how about nitrification naman? Now, nitrification is somehow similar to nitrogen fixation. However, this one is a two-step biological process. So unang-una, yung ammonium available na yan sa iyong halaman. But then, pwede siyang ma-convert into nitrate na still available to your plant. So how does this happen? First off, yung ating ammonia or ammonium, it is processed into nitrite through a process called nitrification. Ito yon. Through a bacteria called Nitrosomonas. So, i-zoom ko nga lang to. Zoom natin yan. Yan. So, yung ammonium natin, through the process of nitrification, nagiging nitrate through the bacteria Nitrosomonas. So, that's the first step. Now, yung mga nitrites natin, it is further processed into nitrate, okay, through naman a bacteria called Nitrobacter. Now, yan yung second process kung saan the ammonium will now turn into nitrate, which is still available to your plant. So that's basically nitrification. Ammonium, it turns into nitrites. So that's the first step through nitrification. And ano yung bacteria na involved dito? Nitrosomonas. Yung ating nitrite will turn into nitrates through what bacteria? Nitrobacter naman. So yun yung proseso ng nitrification, and it is still a biological process. And again, ang tinahanap doon sa question kanina is something that is not a biological process, kaya volatilization ang tamang sagot. Last question. What are the aims or goals of balanced use of fertilizers? It is letter A. Is it letter A, to increase crop yield, quality, and income? Is it letter B, correction of inherent soil nutrient deficiencies? Or letter C, maintain or improve lasting soil fertility to avoid damage to your environment? Or all of the above? So alin kaya dyan yung goal kung bakit balance yung paggamit natin ng fertilizer? So ang tamang sagot dyan is all of the above. And let's discuss what is the balanced use of fertilizer. Now, simply put, balanced use of fertilizer means applying the right types and amounts of fertilizer sa iyong lupa to meet kung ano yung kailangan ng iyong halaman, but at the same time, taking good care of the soil health and environmental sustainability. So, balanced use of fertilizer, it makes sure na yung ating halaman ay nagagamit niya kung ano yung nutrients na kakailanganin niya in appropriate proportion habang napangangalagaan yung ating lupa. So, ang pinaka-goal ng balanced fertilizer use is, of course, to increase crop yield. Kaya tayo nag-a-apply ng fertilizer para mapadami at mapalaki natin ng husto yung ating halaman na nagko-contribute sa income ng ating mga farmers. And it is, of course, it is to correct inherent soil nutrient deficiencies, which means yung ating soils kasi magkakaiba yan. For example, iba yung soil type sa highland and iba yung soil type sa lowland. And magkakaiba yung mga nutrient na present sa mga soils na yan. Kaya naman, kapag yung soil mo ay kulang sa one particular nutrient, you can apply fertilizer to compensate and mabigyan ng nutrient, ng necessary nutrient yung halaman na itinanim mo doon. And number three, dyan na pumapasok kung bakit siya balance use is to maintain or improve soil fertility. Hindi naman po pwede kasi na-apply lang tayo ng fertilizer kasi it might be it might it might destroy yung natural ecosystem doon sa lupa, and kapag na-destroy yon, pwedeng ang lupa natin ay maging too acidic or maging too toxic na for your plant. So that is why dapat balanse lang. Kung ano yung pangangailangan ng halaman, yun lang dapat yung nilalagay natin. Kasi iniiwasan natin na masira yung ating lupa. Kasi kapag nasira yung lupa na yan, all of these fertilizers that we have applied from our land will now going to your water supply, and makakasama rin siya hindi lang sa lupa na yon but also to the community. So papasok diyan ngayon yung konsepto ng sustainable agriculture practices, which means we use fertilizer in amounts na kailangan lang in order to meet yung current food needs ng ating citizens, but at the same time mini-maintain natin yung soil health, yung water health, yung pollution. Dapat inire-reduce natin yung pollution and pinopromote natin yung biodiversity para magamit pa ng future generations. So that is why the answer for this question is letter D, all of the above.